EDG were able to pick up game number 1 over Vici at the Chongqing Arena, which is normally the Snake Pit. We have to find a different name for that heading into match number 2, because this time around it's EDG against Vici. So the first time we haven't seen a home team play at their home arena.
Yeah, it's a bit of a snake invite in a sense, because EDG.
There's the invitation.
Oh, damn! It says Sweetheart Tibbers.
Okay, I thought it would say the Chongqing Snake Pit, but Raz just given that away as well. But
it's
yeah,
not-
it's
not
the
for
first
me.
time we haven't seen a team play at their home arena, and 2 teams are not playing in the Shanghai Super Brand Mall Arena.
It's lovely to see, of course. Get to see more teams come into the Chongqing Snake Pit and to see what it feels like to not go up against Snake. EDG, of course, having the elongated stay, having to previously play up against them, and then Vici, or their next opponent, is Snake, so they're going to be feeling a little bit comfortable in the city for a little bit.
Yeah, so they get to stay there for a little bit more, get used to the cold weather and the cold Snake Pit, which a lot of teams have talked about so far. But moving into this next match, EDG up against Vici. We know Fire Rain is coming in for game number 2, and Vici were not necessarily. It wasn't necessarily a one-sided affair. Even though it was a 24-minute game for EDG, Vici were not able to pick up the plays they wanted to, but they still took something away from EDG after every single fight or every single skirmish.
Yeah, and you have to be aware that Swift is going to commit to these fights. And that's a lesson that EDG took in the last game, is that if you're contesting for red buff, they're not going to just concede it. In fact, they went so far as to bring Gnar away from his massive wave in the top lane that was hitting tower just to go for the fight. So looks like Vici have a lot more blood in them, looking for these fights time and time again, so EDG need to be aware of it.
Yeah, so I have to see if Vici can actually pull it off, because every single time it looked like they were going to do something good, but EDG were able to fight back. And it comes back to what we talk about for EDG time and time again, that EDG is a team fighting based team. 10,000 gold behind, 1 member off, they're still ready to go for a team fight at any point in the match. And they showed that in their game against Vici.
Yeah, it's just because they are the most in tune with their support, or at least their bottom side.
Okay.
They can bring their bottom side away from the lane entirely early on, just to look for mid lane skirmishes, top lane skirmishes with Leona specifically. I mean, Mako was all over the map in that game. It's nice to see. And Vici, if they want to look to match it, they have to pull Alistar really early on. They did it this time. I think Caveman actually answered one of these roams once, but you have to be on top of it. And I think that bottom side vision allows for that.
Now, are teams focusing too much in 8.5 on this Alistar Tristana bottom lane combo? Because this is the second set we've had today, and the second time we've seen a Tristana try to combo with an Alistar at level 2. The first time around it was the Tristana's fault. The second time was an Alistar's fault. But are teams really focusing on the change to Tristana's passive and her W a little bit too much?
I think the combination is still very strong.
Okay.
You're going to bring in Tristana, the setup with that Alistar's headbutt pulverize, and then of course that one right hook that he gets to stun you. That's a massive damaging combo, and if you don't get the kill off of it early on because you don't do that much damage, you at least get good skirmishing. So I still prefer it. It just does change a little bit the priority, because I would like to see more Xayah Rakan personally.
Which is curious, because a lot of the top teams in the LPL are prioritizing the Xayah Rakan, especially now that we are on 8.5 and not 8.6 yet, where we do know that in 8.6 the Xayah Rakan W combo does get nerfed slightly, so still very strong with the current patch. An interesting thing to me was the fact that, I'll touch on that a bit later, because we actually do have Martin coming in as the AD carry for Vici as well. I believe it was Fire Rain that was coming on top of that. We'll have to see if he's still going to be the substitute in, but it is going to be Martin that jumps in instead of Snow for game number 2. One thing that we did see initially push away that combo, because Tristana Alistar is one of the oldest kill lanes.
Yep.
Yep, and it is Fire Rain coming in as well. Tristana Alistar is one of the oldest kill lanes. But Alistar used to have a stun on his Q. His Pulverize used to knock you into the air, and when you fall, you were still stunned for a short period of time. They moved that on towards his Trample instead, so he has to get the auto attack for it. That means you have to hit level 3 to get the full combo on.
Yeah, and I think here's the thing about that. It's still a useful combination to have. What combination, or at least what champion picks that really hurt, was the Caitlyn. So Caitlyn can no longer trap underneath the headbutt pulverize because it's so limited, but it does still follow through on the fact that Tristana, if you still get headbutt pulverize, Tristana slows you down and gets the added but of damage from auto attack after auto attack with the satchel placed on top. So it has longer points of damage. So while it did get nerfed, it's still probably one of the best combos you can have just with the Alistar itself.
Well, let's just hope the teams stop messing up these combos. That's been a downfall for bottom lanes in 2 of our games alone today. And now they brought in Martin. Martin, I mean, he has a highlight play, picking up Tristana for Vici. So I have to see if he can be the AD carry that kind of boosts the team, so to speak. Because Snow didn't have a great performance in that matchup. Martin has been getting a little bit more confident, has been playing a lot better in recent matches.
Yeah, and confidence has been a big issue that even Martin has discussed in interviews before the split was even discussed, or at least started, that is. Because when he was on Snake, his confidence was hit. He really went deep on the troubles that he had personally based off of that. So coming in, and with Vici's issues, right? Vici's current struggles in the split, now they're bringing in Snow. I wonder if he can weather the storm in that front, because his biggest questions has been in the laning phase, and Snow is able to hold firm in that sense. So I want to see if he can come back and hit back hard.
As we do get into Champion Selector, I want you to tell me more about those issues for us, because that's what we covered about EDG in the last match. Vici being able to take teams 2-3 series so far, but not pick up too many of the wins. What are the issues that Vici are having at the moment?
Vici currently, I want to see more lane focus. Their laning phases get trampled on. And even though initially that was, well, how do their lanes plug into their junglers?
Okay.
They do still fall behind regardless. Martin is a big problem in that sense, because Martin was known for having phenomenal team fighting in the LSPL and having good moments in the LPL. But in his laning phase, he does get stomped. And so we got to see Snow have problems there. They're going up against iBoy and Mako. That's only going to get worse.
They've also brought in Fire Rain as well, so no more Easy Hoon to be seen from Vici, one of the most iconic players in that team since he's moved over from SKT to the LPL. But we have picks and bans for game number 2. Olaf, Swain, and Shen for the side of EDG, who are on red side for this matchup. Xayah, Azir, and Cassiopeia, the 3 bans to come out from Vici. Rice, first locked in for Fire Rain in the mid lane, potentially along with the top side after they do FLICKR, answered by Sejuani as well as Tom Kench from EDG. And Alistar is the lock in for Vici. We could see a Tristana again.
Yeah, we could. I think that it would be an interesting lane. It should just be a little bit more passive now that they see that Tom Kench is going to slow that roll down. So I would like to see Vici now pivot towards mid lane and top lane focus. Ryze is a really good pick, so you can look towards ganks there. So Jarvan Ryze really troubling if you're EDG. They can also hold their top laner, so you can have a long game.
Yeah, Jarvan Ryze plus strong top laner was what we saw as the early answer to any Gangplank matchup during the early stages of 2018 split. So I have to see if that does deny EDG picking up a top lane they'd like. They do answer with a nice roaming mid laner though. Talia gets locked in to go up against Ryze.
Yeah, and Ryze could still be a top laner, so I want to see if Long wants to go towards the Ryze pick and give Fire Rain a strong pickup for himself, because Fire Rain does have a deep champion pool. It's hilarious because we troll him a lot because he has he's known as the, ooh, it starts with a Mordekaiser. Good lord, I haven't seen that champion in so long I can't even remember his damn name. But we kind of meme him for being a Mordekaiser main, but a lot of the times he does go back towards these obscure picks, going towards the Yasuo sometimes, or going towards just the Orianna, which is a standard. But, so I would still say you can hold on to your pick and look to see if you can get something that's good into the Talia pick.
And I'm upset we don't get enough Mordekaiser in this league, Raz. Mordekaiser's a great champion. Come on, make Cloud Dragon worth taking. Get Mordekaiser and Shyvana on a team, just focus on taking dragons, you win the game. Ezreal's the first ban, the second ban phaser comes out from EDG, follow up with a Kog'Maw ban as well. Camille, first ban comes out from Vici.
Like the fact that EDG are just focusing towards Martin's AD carries, because Kog'Maw is a big one for himself, as well as the Tristana. So he might go towards the Tristana knowing at how many AD carries have been throwing his way, or EDG might even go the extra step in taking that away from him.
Now the final banner comes out from Vici, so again focusing on taking away strong top laners. If they can get Ray onto a weak top lane matchup, again the Ryze Jarvan combo has been sure to shut down picks like the Gangplank. Even though they're not necessarily in the lane, they have the pressure to move towards the top side of the map.
Well, that may be fair. With EDG's first 2 picks, Sejuani and Tom Kench, they can be a lot more liberal with how many carries they have. Currently, the Talia allows you to amplify these side lanes. The Varus is just great in terms of utility. So they can go as far as to say, hey, you know what? I want to try a Lucian game in the top lane. I want to try a Jace game in the top lane. So if you are Long, even though I said I want to see if they go towards a carry top lane pick, that might be a dangerous point today.
Just doing the inverse instead, it seems. Instead of picking up the combo to shut down a carry lane, they could try and take it away so EDG can't use it against them. Offering Gangplank at the moment. However, Ray does have the last pick. Yes, EDG are lacking some physical damage in their lineup. We'll have to see what his final pickup is going to be. Instead, moves away from the Gangplank pick, goes towards the safer Cho'Gath instead.
Yeah, the Cho'Gath is interesting just because Vici's now solely focused towards the Alistar and Jarvan being their main points of engage. Cho'Gath, if he's behind, doesn't provide very much unless if you get a really good flank. Otherwise, he's just tough to play. So this is a safe pick for long. Meanwhile, Vici are just focused on that team fighting, and perhaps if the Caitlyn gets far ahead, to go towards the siege.
Final pick from EDG. They're going to take a play at the Vici hoverbook and lock in Gangplank for themselves. This is scary though, because again, when Gangplank was running rampant in the LPL, the common counter was to pick up Jarvan and Ryze and dive him at level 2 with someone like Ornn or Cho'Gath, who can push him in underneath the turret in the early levels of the game.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's why it's so important that Scout needs to have a good lane. Haro should be mid lane really early on to get good control wards, placed towards top side of the map, so he is protected.
Yep.
And get some good ganks there, so his winning lane, his winning and shoving matchup is not at any point impacted by Swift. That needs to happen, or else Fire Rain and Swift will run roughshod in the top side of that.
Gangplank does feel a bit of the physical damage that EDG were missing from their team composition. So that's a good pickup for them, but both team compositions look very nice in the two teams. We get to see the Caitlyn, which is heavily prioritized in the LCK, now being picked up by Martin in the bottom lane.
Good siege, good range. Only issue is that there's one matchup that does quite well into the Caitlyn, and that is the Varus, just because you get the added bit of range from your Qs, even your hail of arrows to set up for a fight. So I think EDG set themselves up quite well going up against the Caitlyn.
He's got 575 range, and his hail of arrows slow allows him to reposition into dueling range against Caitlyn, so which is nice. But as you can see, even though it is the snake pit that these two teams have entered into, there's still a ton of fans for both EDG as well as Vici cheering them on. For EDG, this is a match to propel them a little bit further ahead. It's a must-win game for them against Vici. Unfortunately for Vici, it's the exact same story for them as well, because Vici are currently sitting last in their conference. They must win every single game, including this one.
Yeah, that's the real must-win point you already mentioned. The fact that Vici need to take this if they want any bit of hope going up against WE's spot, that 4th place.
Alistair, you are not in the crowd. You are not allowed to contribute to all these cheers. They're still going at it though, Raz.
Oh, you got it.
No more Mako cheers, because he did pick up his 12 assists, I believe, in that last match. So he's now #1 in the LPL. Overtaking his previous captain and jungler of Clear Love.
Always nice to see. I mean, just the fact that Mako has been such a strong pillar for EDG. Even in the 2 splits that we don't see Clear Love, they still do quite well for themselves in the shot calling department. So I want to see what happens and if this team can grow even without him.
We get to take a look at some of the keystone masters that picked up here. Nothing too out of the ordinary, but again, it's a different keystone being picked up by Sejuani. We usually see the fleet footwork, sometimes the aftershock. Now we see this being picked up to get the bonus attack speed.
It's funny because it was Haro that initially picked up the lethal tempo Sejuani right from Demacia Cup, and then we never saw it since. I guess now we've been seeing a surge of it ever since MLXG picked up the Sejuani with lethal tempo. And it's just great for skirmishing, just because once you get that burst in attack speed, once you land a W, because it doesn't have to be an auto attack that procs it, just any bit of damage. You start off with your W, and then you walk up once you slowed them, and then you just proc your force, proc passive, stun. It's a lot of burst damage. It's a surprisingly amount. So Swift has to watch out if he looks to invade, and it's Haro that starts that fight.
Yep. On top of that, I mean, if you watch any Sejuani take Scuttle Crab, it's so quick.
Yeah.
She already has that burst damage, and she's deceptively strong at dueling because of her passive. Now because of that, the keystone she's picking up as well significantly helps her out in terms of dueling. We're looking in the bottom lane where iBoy and Mako got an early access to the wave. They set up quite nicely to push in aggressively against Martin and Caveman, trading very well as well, hitting level 2 first.
And it makes sense if you look at Mako's rune page, just because he did set up for the approach velocity / glacial augment, which means if he ever gets a Q, he walk up to you a lot more easily and get the skirmish down. Even picked up the ignite as well, rather than the exhaust, just meaning that it's Martin and Caveman that's on the defense.
They're going to continue pushing in that bottom lane, but for now we're focusing on the top side map, where we already see Long pushing in against Ray. We see the Jarvan being a little bit more aggressive at the moment. Haro is actually trying to collapse on top of Swift, is not able to get anything from it.
Yeah, Swift has to back away. There's no way he takes that skirmish up against the Sidwani, especially with Talia there. It's wishful thinking. Know that he doesn't do... Oh, wait a minute. That's actually...
No. Nanikawa then doesn't send Martin too far back, allowing Ibo to get a good trade in that bottom lane. Goes back to what you're talking about, Raz. Yes, Caitlyn has priority in these lane matchups, but Varus is just a little bit stronger in the early laning phase.
Yeah, early laning phase, he can clear quite well with just, of course, Hail of Arrows and Q if he wants to. Can burn a lot of mana, so that's the difference where Martin can hold a little bit more mana and take the long con the laning phase. So that's something to look towards, because if he gets the mana advantage versus iBoy, it's a little bit better, but that's just not been the case, of course, since iBoy's been taking this quite well.
Yeah. Whereas Caveman actually looking to be aggressive in this bottom lane. Stun is available, locks down Tom Kench's Edge, who ate iBoy and stopped any more damage from being dished out. There you go. EDG able to win another fight in that bottom lane.
At the very least, Caveman's got heals every auto that comes through. That's the only thing you got to be worrying about, because you don't have any more HP potions for Martin.
Top side of the map, Lung is still pushing it against Ray. You see the nullifying orb being popped there against the gangplank as he's forced home. Should see him use his teleport to get back into that lane, but no early proactive movements from Fire Rain and Swift towards top side of the map to lock down Ray.
That's just because they have no vision of where the junglers are. Better to make the smarter choice in terms of basing and using your TP rather than staying for the wave. Just knowing that Swift has been off the map for at least, I mean, since the game started, really. Haven't really seen him at all. And sure, he was at base early on, but there's no vision on the map, so you really can't see it coming.
And still a lot of focus on this bottom lane combo. Haro's even rotating around the river, going to clear out a couple of wards to deny vision from Vici.
This is
but
what
everyone's moving down.
That's what I love to see from EDG. They always get these wards down.
That's a flash forward, looking to lock down Maker. Instantly tries to flash away, and that's a flash from Swift as well. They get him before he can use the Grey Hell. First blood picked up by Swift.
Yeah, proper stun lock, but Fire Rain.
He's in trouble, locks down Sejuani first. Scout flashes over the wall, throws a few more rocks, gets a kill into Fire Rain.
Yeah, very rough for Fire Rain, because Vici made a proper play on the bottom side of the map. So fast to the call, too, so Haro was nowhere near. Was actually just clearing out the control ward so he can get deeper vision, maybe catch out the Jarvan so they can look for a bottom lane play. So it's Swift that attacks first, but Fire Rain was out of position.
Outside of the map, you see Ray trying to fight against Lung here. Lung gets a good knock-up, denies the barrels, but Ray's still going. He wants this fight against Cho'Gath. He does have Talia roaming up towards the top side of the map. Jarvan's on his way as well, and Scout has the wall available. Builds it, cuts off the path to the turret, also gets him access into the lane. He's right behind Lung at the moment, who has hit level 6. Very scary point for the Cho'Gath. Jarvan is on his way. Can Lung buy enough time? Flashed away, nice and early. Jarvan jumps in, flick back, misses, good rupture, eats him, Scout's in trouble. There he goes, Jarvan gets one. Does he get the second as well? Yes, he does. Double kill, 2-for-1 trade for Vici.
I didn't even see Swift there until the very end. Really good call from Long to just veer towards the bush. That was looking good for EDG immediately, just because Ray was just looking for the skirmishes. It didn't have to be a 50-50, just enough for Scout to come in for the save. Such a great counter game.
Very proactive moves coming off Swift. Impacted the bottom lane, where Martin and Cabo were being harassed constantly by iBoy and Mako. Great counter gang towards top side of the map. We already saw the Talia pick up from EDG to match the tempo that Rise can dish out. And this is what it's netted them.
Let's take a look at this. The ward didn't catch, even Talia didn't catch Jarvan following up. So he just waited for the walls to come down before he actually gets any bit of impact towards this 1v2. Gets the join, and in fact, Long splits the damage, so it's up to Swift to get both. Really funny, actually, just because he was like, you know what, you can get both of these kills. I have faith, so it's going to be now up to you to get the 2 that are left.
Well, if he killed Ray, though, he might have sustained enough to live.
It's possible.
Possible, but he did take the easier play there, which is allow Swift to pick up both those kills. And Swift is still making his way out towards top side of the map. Lung already had the pushing advantage against Ray.
Yeah, they're setting up for this. Rise is uncontested here because blue buff is being picked up.
Oh no, he's locked Ray inside the arena. Lung's able to get a good rupture, but can't find access into the Cataclysm. Ray's trying to fight this one out. Swift's in trouble. Can he get the kill? No, he can't. Lung chomps down onto the Pirate, picks up another kill for himself.
Really, the cooldown on that ulti doesn't seem that long at all. It comes right back to lane and is able to use it to get the execute.
Meanwhile, EDG decided they're going to make a play at the bottom side of the map, but Haro steps on the trap. That's going to delay his access to the back lines of Vici. Vici respond. There's now a teleport to bottom lane. That gets cancelled. Fire Rain is here, however, looking to lock them down. Haro charges forward, throws out the ultimate, doesn't connect onto Martin. But it's a diffused play. No one dies in the bottom lane.
Good defensive play from Fire Rain specifically, because I thought he was going to be looking topside for the 3v1 dive. He moves away from it because Swift says he can do it all on his own, which leaves him the option to use the push wave that he had to go bottom lane. So it works very well for Vici in the end.
Even put them in the lead. 600 gold up over EDG. They're 4 kills to 2. Exactly a 2-kill lead at the moment. Their lanes are farming quite evenly. iBoy about 10 CS ahead, but Long in the top lane, he's about 10 CS ahead of Ray. Yeah,
and I think that is really bad for Ray specifically. The bottom lane can protect themselves, and Talia is in a good position. She's going to have flash for herself quite soon, but it's Ray that was already having problems here, and it's Ray that has a longer cooldown on his flash.
There was no early moves towards top side map to try and shut down Ray, but the mid-game rotations that have come out from Swift, one counter gank, a forced gank of his own, have been enough, and he's still making his way up there. In fact, Long's already going for a fight. Will slow down Ray, but defuses the play.
The beautiful thing about this, if you're Vici, even though that was botched in terms of timing, Jarvan wasn't there fast enough to follow up on the Q from Cho'Gath, and the skirmish happened a little bit too early on. But they can just do this whenever they want because Fire Rain still has his ulti. He can actually push this up quite freely for himself and then look top lane whenever Jarvan wants to, because it's the GP that has to stick in lane, and they can dive for however long they want to because they still have Cho'Gath to tank the tower.
Ray does have his teleport available. Long was forced to cancel his teleport after the bottom lane attempt. In fact, although Haras are still on the top side of the map, Swift is pinging that he's on his way to the bottom lane.
Interesting. All of the vision control topsides in favor of EDG. No one was able to catch the mid lane control wards. Now Haru's on top of it. And there's a control ward that Long should have been able to see and clear out, but he's never walked into the bush.
Once again, another flash forward coming out from Caveman. They lock down Tom Kench. Mako has nowhere to go. Pops the grey health. Meanwhile, iBoy solo kills Martin. I don't need your support. I don't need your jungler. But I need a pirate in the bottom lane to chase down Caveman. Pops his ultimate. Gets eaten up by Mako. Spits the cow back out. That tasted like beef jerky. Suddenly trying to knock back a pirate himself, but it will be Ray that gets that kill.
Wow, that just blows up in Vici's face. Swift and Caveman assumed they had the follow-up, maybe even assuming that they had enough damage to take out Tom Kench on his own, which was false. And Martin was left to his own. Even the observer just didn't even see it, because it was like, I'm so focused on the skirmish that's happening. It was iBoy that saw the play, and it was iBoy that flashed forward to see and get the kill onto Martin.
It was an even game. EDG have now swung the gold back in their favor. They're
what?
Going for it. Wait, hey, no, go back. Someone's going to die in the mid lane.
Nah, I don't want to see it. I want to see this action. All right. Let's take a look at Martin. Yeah, this is actually just an easy kill for iBoy. It's very awkward that Caveman and Swift chose the fight on Mako. They should have just looked towards the defensive option, even possibly looking for iBoy. Just not good communication when you're going into that 3v3.
The play makes sense. It's one they already used earlier to pick up the first blood for Swift. Flash onto Tom Kench, lock him down so he can't save iBoy. This time they didn't have Martin there. He couldn't dish out the damage to lock him down. And they butchered the combo slightly. Didn't knock him back into the team closer to Swift. He was able to flash away and get his great health off, which was what didn't save him the first time around.
Yeah, so I like the idea, and the execution was probably as bad as you can actually play it. Really unfortunate on the side of Vici since they've been doing so well up until that point.
Caveman just has not been having a good series on Alistar. Butchered play, game number 1, cost them the bottom side of the map. Now in game 2, combos have not been as clean as you'd like, which is just not there for him.
Because Caveman has been the Alistar player.
Yes. He's now getting locked down here as well. No ultimate available for Caveman. Easy pick for EDG. Swift is here. There's a teleport to the back lines. Going to turn this into a 3-on-3. Scout separates Martin. Martin can't find access into this fight. Can only throw Qs over the wall. Does this give EDG enough time? iBoy foils first, but Swift's going to be a flick back as well. Scout picks up another one. Martin finally gets his 90 caliber net, but he uses it to disengage.
Yeah, all in on the kill into iBoy. Mako prolongs the play by having him in the stomach. Only issue is, yeah, sure, you can get the kill on iBoy, but Rise And Caitlyn, nowhere to be seen.
Yep.
In fact, good decision for them not to be there because that wasn't going to be a one fight. So that was just really high tunneling to get the iBoy kill when you're losing 2 members at minimum in that play.
The second time Martin's been excluded from a fight. Almost feels like Vici's communication is not there because they could have kited back towards the Taliyah wall and let him shoot from that range.
Yeah, 100%. But just take a look at this. Caveman is the first casualty here. J4 thinks he can get something out of it. Even says, you know what? Alistar's gone. Commit to the play anyways. See if we can get more. They probably didn't expect Haru to be in the fight because the moment Haru joins, Martin should have 0 interest. And Rise is nowhere to be seen. So that is 100% 2 people dead for 1. And I would even imagine iBoy to be, I'd say, alive if there was no follow-up damage to the chomp from Cho'Gath. So there was a very real possibility it would be a 2-for-0.
Fire in a little bit slow in the rotation as well. Teleport available for Rise. Realm Warp was available as well. Didn't use either.
This is getting rough for Vici. The fact that they rotated topside to look for the tower, but issue is they don't have enough vision to see where Haru is at. So Haru is in the top side of the map throughout the entirety of this, but they have no vision to see if that's actually the case.
It's not as clean as you'd like though from EDG. It's still 7-5 in kills. They do have the first and only turret in this match as well. But it's not like the one-sided affairs that we see from teams like Rogue Warriors or Invictus Gaming from EDG here. Still making mistakes.
Yeah, the mistakes primarily come around the fact that synergy with your jungler
leads you kills in the mid lane because Fire Rain's going to fall. Swift's going to fall shortly after. iBoy whiffs his ultimate, still able to slow down Jarvan. Frozen comes out. Swift tries to throw out the Cataclysm, just locks iBoy in an arena with a pink ward. He wins that fight one-on-one me.
There we go. Much better than I was going to expect. Just because I was about to say, synergy with your jungler is not really netting you many kills, or at least allowing you to succeed. It's supposed to be allowing Scout to make the plays happen, but we haven't really seen too much of Haru and Scout moving together up until that point. So good job to finally find the kill in the mid lane.
Gives him access to mid lane out of turret as well, which will fall with ease. iBoy even stepping up, doesn't care about Martin's 90 caliber net. That tickles him at this point in the game because he already has his Rage Blade, whereas Martin's sitting on Boots, a BF sword, and the components for a Zeal.
Yep, it's because iBoy keeps netting kills. 3, 1, and 3. Has more CS as well, 10 more to be exact. So iBoy is so far ahead just because not only is he a Varus, he's going to have that one item spike of the Rage Blade that Caitlyn can't even imagine or dream of. And then you're much farther ahead to cap that off.
Slowly turning into what could be a repeat of game 1 where start the early game and mid game, Vici making proactive plays, and they are being taken advantage of by EDG. They take something back for themselves like a turret, they get a pick here and there, or trade close in skirmishes, 2-3, 4-3. But as we approach 20 minutes in the match, EDG just start ripping them apart, piece by piece. They've already got a 4,000 gold lead for themselves. Focusing on the bottom lane as well. Long tries to charge at the Pirate with Righteous Glory, gets slowed down by a barrel.
Yeah, what's worse is even, I think Vici is still making proper decisions, specifically Swift. Swift knew that the one winning point of the map is still going to be the Cho'Gath point. So look for a dive onto Ray and continuously put EDG behind one peg, but now Ray has a good understanding of that and is just completely denying the play. Doesn't care if he's behind in CS at all, as long as he is not dead and he's available for the play if EDG need him.
And top lane and jungler even. Yes, Ray's gone for futures market on his gameplay, but even in terms of gold top side, about 500-ish gold lead for Swift at the moment, which is not too much when you're just looking at 2 tanks going up against one another. That will actually put him even there, and we'll put Long ahead. All the gold for EDG is focused on their mid lane and bottom lane.
I wonder if Vici continue the game of playing towards top lane, because it looks like a skirmish is happening. It shouldn't happen for too long.
They're trying to skirmish in the mid lane. Caveman jumps over the wall, forced to flash back out.
Yeah, he's just afraid of where Haru is at this point in time. Haru should always be on the top side with his dual lane and with his mid laner. So I was actually surprised that Martin and Caveman even looked to engage that to begin with.
Get out there, Fire Rain. Ah! He's gone, don't worry, he's okay.
3 people just spawn right on top of you like that. The hell? What can you do?
Run. Realm walk away. Fire Lane just showed you what you do, Raz. As iBoy gets a bit angry at Martin, takes a lot of damage, but 90 caliber net gets him back to safety. Ultimate gets thrown out by Ray. EDG try to force another pick there, don't get it. Vici successfully disengaged twice.
Yeah, if that had perfectly comboed into Sedge ulti, and that landed, of course, that would have been the kill. But EDG just have so much control on the map, so they're just hoping that the roll of the dice here and the Dragon does net towards, sure, another stacking cloud, but probably an Inferno.
2% in combat movement speed, Raz. It's amazing.
Feels
He runs
good.
so fast. Triples out of combat, which is nice as well. Raz is not impressed by me. Never mind. Benching it. Vici now going to look to try and take Scuttlecraft for themselves top side of the map. 18 minutes into the game. Still about 5,000 gold behind EDG.
At this point, if you're Vici, I do think that the same play that they've been looking towards, Swift getting on top of Ray, is still viable. If they can try and get Fire Rain out of the position that he's currently in, which is stuck towards top lane dealing with the Talia, then that would be great. Otherwise, they're just put in a position, yeah, where it's 1-3-1, but EDG have the ability to start fights whenever they want. So I do not like the 1-3-1 from Vici, just because Sejuani should be able to make the fights happen every time.
And EDG have shown that. Look, not successfully, but they've shown they can start fights whenever they want. They went from top lane to mid lane and tried to start a fight with two different members of Vici. Both times good disengages came out, force an ultimate out of Fire Rain, but that's about it. Now they're looking to try and do the same. They have Riftel in their back pocket. Haro is able to drop that down where he needs to, and Baron spawns in a minute.
Ooh, actually, I don't get to see this happening. Now they do, but I don't think Jarvan will be in position to save this tower.
EDG throw out the Talia wall and say, you know what, we just want to take this turret. Riftel's going to charge through, get a decent amount of damage, almost enough to kill it by themselves. Can Iboy take it down, dodges away from the rupture, it does fall. Throws out the ultimate, locks down Cho'Gath, flicks back as well, already at half health. Silence goes out, but only on towards Mako. Caveman tries to punt Iboy away, not enough though. They're still chasing him down, forcing him to use his ultimate as well. Prolonged team fight, but nobody falls.
Yeah, just the summoner off of Luong, and he has to base as well. I wonder if EDG try to go for the inhibitor turret.
Slowly chipping away at this turret, but not too much getting done. Ray is still split pushing in the bottom lane, trying to take down bottom lane inner turret.
This would be a good time for EDG to set up towards the Baron that's spawning. So one base and then look towards going back to the same vision that they had set up prior would be great for them, because Vici still have to answer towards the bottom lane with minion wave and won't be able to come back to the map to try and deal with the control wars that they play towards Baron.
I'm not even worried about the control wards right now, Rez. 7,000 gold, can they deal with EDG? We already know they want a 5-on-5 death ball against Vici. How do they fight back from this gold deficit?
They just have to literally try and stall it out. Don't even think that they can contest for a fight around Baron. Okay. Maybe if they get a miracle steal, sure, but the major issue that Vici have is that their follow-up damage doesn't damage. Martin is nowhere near a point in which he can try and deal damage to Haro, who's going to be walking up for a pick. Maybe if they have enough time with Scout, sure, but that's just a pipe dream unless Scout presents himself to it. So there's no damage, and Fire Rain, sure, possible, but he's a mid-range mage. So they don't really have any pick potential here.
They're trying to take back vision control over the Baron button now. Setting up inside brushes, making sure that it's not watered as well.
It's only temporary. EDG should be safe as long as GP stays towards the bottom side. If he pushes another wave, then Vici just has to concede and hold bottom lane tower.
They're looking for a fight though. Swift engages onto Haro. So does Caveman. They're looking for the tank first. Mako saves him for a while. Good. Scout separates the team. Martin's instantly dead. Cataclysm will come in for Swift, but that's just going to kill him. EDG, 3 kills picked up.
Such a strong separation from Scout. Scout saved the fight. Mako was able to keep Haro alive, but then no, the moment Scout comes through, that's the team fight in their favor.
Baron buff falls as well. Long doesn't want any piece of this action. He just gets the heck out of there, straight back towards his base. 7,000 gold was already difficult for Vici. Now they're 10,000 gold behind, and they've got 3 minutes of Baron buff to go against.
And that's just sad if you're the side of Vici Gaming, because that's the fight they were looking for. Recognizing that they had the numbers advantage, recognizing that EDG should not be in position to ever look to contest for vision, and 3 people just walked up to a 5-man strong Vici Gaming. But they couldn't get the kill on towards Haro that they tried to burst him down just because a Tom Kent was sitting right next to him. It's sad days for the side of Vici.
There you go, EDG. #1 assists in the LPL. With that, 6 assists being picked up. I was wrong, it wasn't game #1 where he got it. But he's overtaken Clearlove, the former captain and jungler for EDG. Still somewhere, but hasn't been seen yet.
And this is the crucial assist that he was able to accrue for himself. Saves Haro, pushes him back, and then gets the few assists / kills for himself. There's no way that the 3-man strong and Vici can do anything when you don't have Caitlyn and Cho'Gath for the fight.
Now they're being pushed into the mid lane. EDG are looking to try and take the inhibitor turret. Damage on towards Haro is good. But he's going to heal back up quite nicely with the Warmogs if he ever stops taking damage from the side of Vici.
Warmogs on top of Haro will keep him topped up. So
Scary.
EDG should just keep towards it here. Caveman has the base.
Mid lane inhibitor turret's going to fall. Swift force the flag and drag out. As you mentioned, Caveman was in base. Vici can't put up a fight here. Inhibitor's going to be broken. Vici just let it go.
What's so frustrating on the side of EDG is that it's going to be Haro that walks up, and if you can't get the equalized kill, if you can't kill him, Maiko will save him, and then Warmogs will top him back up in the next play.
EDG trying to force a fight over Scout's wall. In fact, they kill Martin! What the heck? He just died! He did nothing in that entire fight! Caveman tries to throw themselves to the back line. EDG do get locked down for a little bit of time, but they've already got 2 picks into the bottom lane of Vici, breaking another inhibitor turret. They flick back long as well, locking him down. Haro gets a heal from iBoy, but he's long for this world. Fire Rain trying to run away, but it's not raining fire at them all. They shut him down. iBoy picks up 2 kills. And EDG is just going to push towards the Nexus now, Raz.
Yeah, they have 2 waves accruing right here. Swift is the only one standing, and he can't do a damn thing.
He cannot. Both turrets are going to fall. Swift just watches helplessly, and a good start to this match. Couldn't clean it out for Vici. Jumps in, flags and drags out. Fountain, can that save him? Yes, it can. Doesn't fall, but EDG clean 2-0. And unfortunately for Vici, that's their playoff dreams being crushed.
Yeah, that one Cinderella moment that they've been hoping on the last series, being able to take it up against OMG. Great for them, but still a long way to go for Vici. It really is. And they're going to be the stepping stone for EDG to find themselves back in contention for that first place spot.
All they can do now is play spoiler for the rest of this split. Try and improve and get ready for the summer split later on the year. We've seen some growth from Vici, but this split, nearly promoting back to the LPL from the LPL, it's not been enough. We've seen EasyHoon being benched a couple of times, throwing Fire Rain into the mix-up. Seeing them swap out 80 carries, bringing in Swift as well halfway through this split.
And it just comes down to, I would say, it's that bit of a Rocky montage moment, being able to really find your way in the summer split in a proper position. Practice, 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 because they're bringing in new members, and I would say the biggest fault for them is just the fact that they're not really well communicating with their standing members, their standing callers. The laning problems that Snow had is not his fault specifically, it's the 2v2. You have to be working with Caveman, who you haven't had the time that Martin has had with him.
It might be a rocky moment for them, but it isn't quite time to play Eye of the Tiger just yet. So unfortunately, no MSI dreams for Vici, no chance to try and take this split's LPL title. They'll have to try and bounce back for the next split. For the side of EDG though, they've had a rocky split themselves, but they're still pushing to try and make it into playoffs and secure their spot.
Yeah, I mean, thank God they were able to find a way to get a 2-0 victory on somebody. When the moment they couldn't get it on LGD and TOP, I was like, wait a second, why are these mistakes still cropping up? But this was a much better point for them. Maiko was really working with Haro throughout the entirety of the game. So once again, it was an early lead for Vici Gaming, but EDG in these team fights kept coming through.
And that's exactly what we expect from EDG. Time and time again. No matter what, they are going to be the team that we look towards to be favorites going into 5-on-5 team fights. And against this match, yes, they were never really behind Vici when they had to do that, but they showcased that they can still pull off those 5-on-5 fights relatively easy. Yeah,
I think big ups to Scout, taking the MVP in Game 1, and then in Game 2, that team fight that really netted them the kills, and Baron, his team fighting has been phenomenal.
It certainly has been. His play on Taliyah was great, and that's the end of this series. So let's send it back to the analyst desk to break down the games.
Thank you, Fish. And as you said, Vici are now eliminated from playoff contention, and EDG, they still have more games to play, unfortunately, so they need to pick up more wins, but this is definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, Edward Gaming now put themselves one more series win out of a playoff lock, not necessarily a seed lock, but like you said, unfortunately for Vici, playoff dreams are dead, but they still have, what, 5 more games left to play, so still plenty of time to figure out what type of roster they want to run into summer 2018, because we're franchise! So
hey.
Vici, congratulations, you're still in the LPL.
Exactly, and they still have the chance to play upset as well. OMG are only just barely in front of them, so they could definitely pull OMG with them to the abyss that is the bottom of the Western Conference, so there's still hope. However, talking about this game, moving into EDG once more, the early game was, again, rather sloppy.
Yeah, and a big issue is taking a look at the drafts. If you look at EDG, what they want to do is all about the bottom lane again. They have a Gangplank, so post level 6, you drop the Gangplank ultimate down there. They have a Varus into a Caitlyn. Varus trades very well on Caitlyn once he's past level 3 because he's just going to spell fling, and it takes Caitlyn more time to trade with the auto attack. So as long as it's short burst trades, Varus is going to win out, have push there. And then you have a Talia. So again, post level 6, the wall comes down. This is the EDG classic. The problem is that Swift hard camped Ray and just denied him at any opportunity, putting him down in experience, putting him down where he's having to juggle and use his ultimate defensively, that Edward Gaming really never got that opportunity to crack mid lane tower until around 10 minutes, when usually they do it around 7.
Exactly, and they went down to the bottom lane with Haro, and then Haro stepped in the trap, and then the play fizzled, and they were like, well, damn, let's do it again. And they went bot lane without Haro, and then they made a play happen, the tower went down, and they were able to accelerate the game, move top lane, move mid lane, take all the outer turrets.
And then a lot of that credit does go to Scout. I think, hands down, if Scout doesn't know this, and he should, and EDG should as well, Talia is their best champion, and they should play it every damn game. He is so good on Talia, the pick means so much for them, because, again, EDG, they're not like RNG, they're not like Rogue Warriors, and they're not like Invictus Gaming. They don't have the superstar talent to just brute force games in the LPL, and they don't have the synergy to do it. So when you have a pick like Talia, it really band-aids a lot of problems that they have in terms of how they're connecting, you know, making sure people are rotating together, and then it also emphasizes their strengths, their macro rotations. EDG are usually a very crisp, clean mid-game team, because with the experience and veteranship shot calling from Mako, they're very good about how they identify which objectives to go after and then rotate around, and Talia does that perfectly. So EDG, play Talia every single game until that is perma-banned away from you. It's great in a lot of matchups right now in the mid lane. Scout plays, it's probably one of his best champions, and every time he plays it, he gets MVP. And if he doesn't this game, I would be shocked.
And it's not just about his roams into the bottom lane, movements in the early game as well. It's also in the team fights.
Yeah,
like he's also able to really well execute the Talia walls. Like so often we see Talia's just block off teammates, like block off a Sion who's ulting into the bottom lane. I remember that. And like, but he does place them well every single time. They actually, like the old Anivia play, we'd bring up the wall, cut off the team. We're now seeing that with Talia with a much bigger wall, and then he's able to execute well in team fights.
I think this also goes into Scout, because again, watching Scout, he almost never stands on the right side of a team fight, but as a Talia player, like, it's a very different idea about how you're approaching a fight, because you're constantly looking for those angles to split fights or to trap people or to lock people off from things. And I don't know if it's just like a mentality that just works with Scout. Again, his signature champions are Talia, Zed, LeBlanc, these very high mobility, you know, often looking for flanking maneuvers rather than front to back champions like an Azir, like a Ryze or something like that. I think that playstyle, you can see it, and how effective Scout is on these different champions. So less front to back, more looking for flanks.
I think a great example of that was around the Baron, when he had that great Talia wall, like split up the fight and was able to get the 5 vs 3 and then knock out the other 2. So it was definitely well executed by EDG.
Yeah, and it's not even just necessarily how he finds an incredible flank like this, which separates the ADC and gives them the free team fight and then the free Baron as well as the free game. It's the fact that EDG also draft a ton of Baron-oriented compositions. Normally they secure their Baron with picks like Alistar, who, especially from blue side, can zone around the back of the pit, but Talia does that very well from red side. Her ability to hold the red side ramp, which is such a prominent strategy in the LPL for stall maneuvers, and then even so you don't have to stall, that you can actually just close off the Baron access completely to blue side, is a huge reason why Talia on red side is very strong.
Yeah, and of course, before we end this test, we have to talk about our man of the match, and it will be, drum roll please,
wow.
iBoy, not Scout.
Interesting. 8-1 and 5. I mean, obviously he was winning lane, smashing. He had a lot of protection and assistance there, but I feel like the man of the match is based on an algorithm that just has to do with stats and not necessarily who was winning them the game, if that makes sense. iBoy played well. Anytime EDG win a game, chances are that he had to play well because their bot lane is their gate to victory.
Correct.
But I still really credit Scout a lot. He opened up the map, he got a lot of the other lanes going, his ultimates were always very key to helping set up iBoy for success, but I feel like the algorithm's like, oh, look at that KDA, MVP.
Look at the KDA, look at the damage, look at it, look at the kill participation.
Now back to me.
For sure, and it's back to the old, like, you know, AD carry and support thing. It's like AD carry gets all the credit, and in reality it was the support. So yeah, definitely feel like Scout will get, but he already got the MVP in the game one anyway, so it's fine. Scout got his glory. We're going to take a look at the standings and how the league is shaping up after that win there to EDG, and you can see that IG and Rogue Warriors have now clinched playoffs after today and Invictus Gaming's win, and meanwhile at the bottom, TOP and Vici both eliminated now from playoffs.
Now we're starting to fill up with a lot of dots. That said, Snake and EDG are one series win away from also clinching playoffs themselves, because that would mean that FPX would not be able to catch them even if they won all of their games. But the race for 4th is still incredibly tight, and because it is a weighted gauntlet, it's not just about getting in that top 4. Every single place matters, because then you're promised that much farther of a bye.
Exactly. You will get an extra win in the first round, which is going to be very, very nice, of course, to have that free extra win. And then on Sunday, we have our match of the week, and it is RNG versus Invictus Gaming. Now, this is the match that opened the split, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what happened? RNG 2-0. That's not a spoiler anymore. It's been like 10 weeks. And Invictus Gaming, this is the only team they've dropped a series against.
But the difference is that Uzi wasn't even playing in that game. He didn't come back until after Chinese New Year. So this would not only be the rematch for IG, the only game that they lost, but it would be the first time that Jackie Love gets to go toe-to-toe with the crownless king himself.
Exactly. I feel like Uzi's gone through a lot of those AD carries by now. Like, he's gone
The
through
hit list.
Ivor. Yeah, exactly. Crossing names off, and now he's got Jackie Love up next as well.
Well, Jackie Love also had some pretty, you know, harsh words saying that it's our time to shine. You know, the old reign is over. Some new blood is going to take over. So he is the poster child for the new era of the LPL, and it's Uzi that's saying, like, come at me, mate.
I actually really like, yeah, he is the poster boy of IG pretty much. It's their time to make things happen. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule for the next games coming up tomorrow, and it will be TOP taking on Rogue Warriors to start off the day, and then simultaneously, WE will be taking on BLG, the game that we are covering in the English broadcast, and then LGD will also take on Snake.
A good chance to get a look at the Rogue Warriors. If you haven't seen them yet, they are the next contender in the LPL behind Invictus Gaming. Not a lot about them is known in the West, but they are a team to look out for. And then BLG versus WE, incredibly important, because right now in our playoff bracket, there is a side of death. It is the bottom side, and on that side are RNG, WE, EDG, and Invictus Gaming. All 4 of our big pillars and heavy hitters are all on the same side of the bracket, which means none of these teams can meet in the finals, and WE have the chance that they could climb out of that disaster if they take down BLG.
Exactly, and Rogue Warriors, remember, this is the team that we're looking at in the Eastern Conference that we're saying is better than Snake, better than EDG. So against a team like TOP, we're expecting to see a game like we saw today from Invictus Gaming and EDG, that type of matchup where you're winning in around 23-25 minutes. So Rogue Warriors, they have a lot to prove tomorrow. This is their time to really show what they're made of.
Yeah, it will be a little bit different though, because they have a very different style than Invictus Gaming. IG are much more of a mid-focused team, whereas Rogue Warriors, they're kind of like old Starhorn Royal Club, the raise the puppy strategy that really made Uzi famous on a Western international stage. SMLZ is basically new Uzi, and then they put all of their resources. They play a lot of Karma, Lulu, secondary supports in the mid lane, and they raise the SMLZ.
They do, and it works so perfectly because don't we always want to play support or tank champions anyway, so it's like, great, I'll put all the pressure onto the bottom side, SMLZ, you go for it, and more often than not, he just positions well, does the damage, does everything he needs to, and it's one of the reasons why Rogue Warriors have just been so strong in the LPL, because this specific style doesn't seem like a lot of people have the answers.
Yeah, they can't deal with it, they can't 5v5 them. That said, if Doinby does want to flex on some people and actually play a carry, it should be reminded that Doinby used to hold the record for most damage done per minute in a game with his Iceborne Gauntlet Victor, and he also played almost primary carry for JD when he took Summer MVP in 2017, excuse me, QG Reapers. So he can also just pull out the Lucian mids or go back to the Victors. He isn't only like a one-trick pony on a secondary support, which can make Rogue Warriors dangerous because he hasn't been forced to do that yet.
Exactly, that is the blast from the past, QG Reapers. I still remember the logo, I even have one of those pins at home as well, but that was a correction on the schedule. Suning will be taking on LGD, it won't be Snake taking on LGD currently, so that will be a match that we will not be
There was some weird cross-conference going on.
Yeah, I was just like, wait a minute, just like, how did they just sneak into the Western Conference? What happened there? So yeah, small correction, the logo was just wrong, but that's going to do it for us on the Analyst Desk and indeed the LPL show today. So on behalf of myself, FLICKR, and everyone in the broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow.